Hey, everybody, and welcome back to the What Have You Been Up To podcast. My name is Isaac. I'm joined, of course, by my co-host, Nick. And Nick, you'll be surprised this week. We actually have a brand new viewer-submitted question. We've been asking for questions over in the Discord. We've got a lot of feverish back and forth about what the top question of the podcast should be. But after much debate, Nick, the question for you to kick things off here is, what have you been up to, man?
Oh, I'm so glad the viewers have asked Isaac. I've been waiting my whole life for this question to be asked for me, and finally I can unleash the answer upon the viewers and yourself. I have been good, Isaac. I have been drinking some lemon warm water. So warm water infused with lemon juice and
Is this
a bit of honey
freshly
as well.
squeezed lemon juice?
No, this is in a bottle that's been on the supermarket shelf for like 11 months before I picked it off.
You know, man,
in the baking section.
people talk crap about non-freshly squeezed lemon and lime juice. I think they're pretty good, actually.
I think it's all right.
Like, a lot of the time, if a recipe calls for like a tablespoon of lemon juice, I'll just throw in the bottled stuff, man. I'm not freshly squeezing a lemon. I'm not about that.
No.
Yeah.
Because you have to buy a bloody lemon every time.
Exactly.
Right? If you want to follow these recipes, you just got the bottle,
Bingo.
flip it off.
Yep.
Put it in whatever you need, sorted, right?
Yep.
Really easy. And you 100%. Can just, pour it into a teaspoon if you're measuring it precisely.
You've not got to try and squeeze a lemon and then not get any of the flesh in and then try and not get any of the seeds in, and it's all of a mess, and you don't even get that much lemon juice. You get like half a tablespoon per lemon, so you need 8 lemons and all this. It's not worth it, man. It's not worth it.
It's the garlic thing again, right? It's the garlic thing again. So it's been calming my throat leading up to us recording this. It's actually been very effective because I was like, an hour ago, I was like, right, like, oh god, I got blockage, and then I thought water didn't help, so I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna make some warm lemon water, which I haven't had in a while, and it's been very good.
It's pretty good stuff, man.
Yeah, right. I have been up to a couple of bits, Isaac. I was driving yesterday, as I do. Time of day, 8:45 p.m.
Okay,
right?
late.
It's late. It's the night. Driving back from a restaurant, right?
Cuisine in
4
question?
minutes. Cuisine, steak. Very nice.
Just to get we need to, I feel like this is important information to build a backstory of your state, your mental state, your stomach state.
Yeah.
You know, they say that the bacteria on your stomach like have a surprising amount of control over like who you are as a person, right? And so,
right.
I feel like us knowing what you've just consumed is going to help us enjoy this and relate to this story more. If you're listening right now, go and eat some steak. Pause the podcast, go and eat some steak, come back. You'll be able to feel how Nick was feeling at the time this transpired.
We're on the vibe, right? So items consumed, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm. You're driving.
Glass of sangria.
Perfect.
Right?
Oh, I love sangria,
Glass of sangria. Fantastic.
It's so good.
Really nice. Mm-hmm. Unreal. Calamari. Right? Starter. Very nice. Bit of spicy dip to go along with it. Croquettes. 3 croquettes. I consumed half of each one. One of them was jamon, so ham.
Right.
One of them was a truffle one, and the other one was something that I can't remember, but it was nice, right? Bit of like a sauce on the side. Half of a ribeye steak, cooked medium, with like load of like, chimichurri and all that good stuff on top. Very good. Half of a potato, with some
roast, jacket, boiled.
It was
mashed.
God knows, man. It was like a long baton of potato that was like seasoned, had some greens on it. And I didn't really know what it was. I thought it was actually like some kind of other vegetable at first. And I had it, and it was really kind of like nicely cooked soft potato. Great. No dessert, right? No dessert. Tank was full at this point. So, consume this, sat off back from the restaurant probably 15 to 20 minutes after finishing the food, right?
Right.
Driving back, great. 4 minutes from home on a main road, spider just starts scuttling across my dashboard, right? Across the top of my dashboard.
I thought you were going to say across the road.
Can you imagine?
You've seen a spider in the road.
If it was so big that I noticed it.
Okay, so it's scuttling across your dashboard. Just to clarify, you don't like spiders.
I do not like spiders. I'm a lot better than I used to be. I think almost because I'm not seen a spider, like a big ass spider, in quite a while, right?
Well, I assume you've been getting rid of them all, right? Yeah.
Right? Yeah, I live in an apartment. First spider in multiple years of living here, I witnessed last week, right? This has always been like a safe haven to me. To the point where I willy-nilly leave all the windows open and stuff when I'm in, right? If I need it to air the place out, because I don't really... I'm fully confident no spider will get in. I actually think it slipped, this one that I saw last week, slipped in through the front door, right? I think it was in the corridor and slipped in through the front door. Anyway, I vacuumed it up. Happy days, whatever. But I noticed that when I vacuumed, it was quite a big house spider last week. I wasn't like freaked out as I used to be. I was just like, ugh, big spider, not a fan of that. Got the vacuum out, sorted, right? Done. Easy. But I have been hearing that it is quite a heavy spider season the last few weeks, right? Seriously.
Who has told you?
This is a thing. It's spider season. It is spider season.
Okay, it might be spider season, but the way you said it,
it's heavy.
My informants have told me that it's a heavy spider season.
It's a heavy spider season. It's a heavy spider season. I'm telling you. I'm telling you.
This is the dumbest thing I've heard.
It's bad.
Is there like an official source for this, or is this like you've just talked to a lot of people and there's a lot of spiders about?
So I've
or do you subscribe to some kind of spider forecast to make sure you're prepared?
Giant. I've got. Here we go. So most of it's been Instagram, but also here we go from the Independent newspaper. Giant house spiders set to invade homes across the UK as species enters its mating season. So that's what it is, right? It's the mating season for the spiders. And this is Monday, the 11th of September, 2023. Break the fourth wall. This was 8 days ago, right?
Right.
Apparently, they've migrated from somewhere, right?
Like
it's
Milton
basically
Keynes.
just, probably Milton Keynes, right? Anyway, I looked at that and I was like, I don't really care. I don't really see spiders anyway. I've kind of been immune to spider season, having lived in an apartment that's a few floors up, right? These things don't really crawl in all the way up these walls. The chance of them getting in through the windows is quite low, all of that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Anyway, spider crawling across my dashboard. Not too big, to be fair, but not insignificantly small either. And I was like, bloody hell, there's a spider going across my dashboard. And I was like, okay, I will deal with this when we get back, when we park up, right? 4 minutes from home. This thing was crawling across and it kind of stopped on one of my air vents. I thought it was going to crawl into the air vent, but it crawled around the air vent, kind of to a point behind the steering wheel that was, I couldn't see, right? It was behind the steering wheel.
That's when the panic kicks in. Because now you've lost,
like, bloody hell.
You've lost sight on the bogey.
Right? Lost sight of the target. Yeah, exactly. So the person I was with was like, let's just like go home. That's what she was like, concentrate on driving. I was like, okay, I will. So
eyes darting down to the steering wheel every nanosecond to keep checking.
Swerving, right? Parked up, got out, phone camera,
parked up,
light on.
Jumped out of the car, record speed.
Out. Yeah, exactly. As if this was some kind of mission, right? It's like SWAT team exiting their vehicle, ready to pounce. Had a look, phone torch on, nothing. Mm-hmm. I think it's gone into my like steering column, right? Yeah. This is where it's gone. Now, this is fine, right? But a couple of things that I've observed. First of all, I don't mind that this spider is living in my car. Hope he has a great time, right? Okay, so this is okay, but I don't want it to lay eggs and reproduce. Yeah. This is the problem, right? I don't want a spider's nest in my car because then there'll be lots of baby ones. And that's not so like, I wouldn't freak out, but it's just kind of disgusting, right? Yeah. I don't want it to lay eggs. I just hope it kind of dies in the cold. Mm-hmm. Right. So
you left your engine on, you cranked the AC to max, and then you went to bed.
This is probably what I'm going to do later. Right. What I did do before I went to bed was order like a spider repellent spray, right? and I'm gonna like spray it into my steering column and hope that it doesn't absolutely destroy the electronics in there. Right?
It's way too much effort for one spider, man. How much did you pay for spider spray? Is this on Amazon? Like next day delivery on Amazon for spider spray?
Yes, £11.99.
12 pounds to kill one spider.
This is okay. Here's the thing. So this is going to be like a multi-purpose thing. It's a repellent, right?
Yeah.
So I'm also going to like spray it around my windows.
But you just said you don't have a problem with spiders in your apartment, right?
Yeah, but there was that one, right? There was that one that got in. Well, that got in.
Okay, right.
Anyway, right. These are more side observations, right? This spray is coming at some point, and then I'll spray it in my car. I'm not too concerned about that because spiders, there's no food in the car, right?
Yeah.
That can be provided to this spider. I think it will just end up either exiting the vehicle or dying. But what I want to know is how did it get in, right? So 4 to 5 days ago-ish, can't remember what exact day, I cleaned my car, right? So I washed the outside and there was a point where I had both the doors open and I took all the floor mats out and vacuumed them and, did all that good stuff, right? But I was thinking, how does a spider enter a car, right?
Yeah.
There's a very small contact surface between a car and the ground, right? You've got the 4 tires, but if a spider gets onto the 4 tires, it then has to navigate its way onto the suspension components, into the wheel arches or around the wheel arches, and then somehow get into the interior, right?
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, well, it might not have been through from the ground, right? The second potential situation, path of entry, might have been a hanging basket that was above the back of the car where I'd parked, right?
I'm picturing you with like a wall, and it's got like one of those big blueprint style papers with the white lines, and there's like an outline of your car, and then you've got red string going from the basket to the car hood, and then you've got like a line that goes from the floor to the wheel arch, from the wheel arch up to the suspension, to the under wheel cap, and then into the... You're just like, how did it do it? How did this happen?
Isaac, case files.
The red eyes has been up for 48 hours. Where did it come from? How did it breach? This shouldn't have happened.
This shouldn't have happened. Were the windows not sealed?
I don't know about you,
but
man.
Here's the thing. Go on.
Oh, go on.
I was going to say, man, third path of entry? What if it was on me?
That was,
Yeah, right?
Maybe, man.
What if it was, like, on my person? Because an observation I made after I cleaned my car was I felt like I had spider web in my head. It was that weird feeling, right? It's like a feeling like there's a specific feeling. So I had a shower after that and washed my hair.
Right.
And then that feeling went away. But there was that feeling where I was like, damn, maybe this thing entered via me, right?
Right.
Quite scary.
I was going to say, I don't know about you, but it seems like the space between like the wing mirror and the car window must be like the best spot in the universe to catch flies, because every single like day without fail there's a spider web on my car between the mirror and the window, right? Like I'll go and I'll get rid of it, and then like a day or two later you'll come back and there'll be a new web there. So there's like spiders somewhere that keep coming back and keep feeling the need to web up that little area. I don't know if flies just like love flying into the mirror or what, but it must be a ripe ground. But so I'm not surprised there are cars like in the vicinity, in the vicinity of your car. But as to how it entered, I don't think I've ever seen a spider in my car.
Yeah, right. Like this is the first time I've ever seen one in mine. Very weird occurrence. I've seen like bugs and stuff in there, right? Like they fly in. Obviously, much easier path of entry. But then my mum was saying, right, it's more to the story. The other day, she got into her car and felt something on her head as she was pulling her out of the driveway, and then brushed it off, and a spider ended up in her lap.
Oh,
right. So there's this is a high population spider zone. It seems to be my parents' driveway. Right.
Well, it's heavy spider season, so
it's a heavy spider season, and I'm thinking where that car would have been was under the hanging basket, right? So I think that the spiders have been going from this hanging basket onto us,
Just jumping down
onto us, and then us getting into the cars, and then they've kind of, you know, crawled off or like gone wherever, right? But this was a slightly harrowing experience, Isaac. I didn't get as much sleep last night.
Yeah.
Because of this, and also probably because of coffee that I drank at 4:30 p.m., which was a mistake. We can talk about later. But yes, this is my spider experience, Isaac. This is to all arachnophobes out there. Watch out, right? Did you know, Isaac, in Australia, where spiders are notoriously large and notoriously frequent, it is customary or a good practice to pull down your sun visor before you get into your car. So you open the door and you pull down the sun visor, because that is a nesting spot for large spiders. And apparently there's a not infrequent amount of road traffic accidents caused by people driving, pulling down their sun visor, and a spider falling onto them. Yeah. So you know, it's not an infrequent occurrence.
Did you know UK spiders are completely harmless and they can't do anything to you at all?
Yeah, but they're awful, aren't they? You can say that about so many things. Say that about, like, I don't know, about like moths and daddy long legs, but they're not pleasant. Do anything. Like, so they're not pleasant.
Moths are bad because they'll eat like your clothing, right? So like, I don't think that moths are a good companion to keep around. But
what
spiders,
about daddy long legs? What about them?
I don't know what the deal is with daddy long legs. Like, I know spiders will eat flies, right? They're like somewhat helpful, right? I would prefer to have spiders than flies in my house, right? Flies are just annoying, right? They fly around, you can hear them buzzing sometimes, and it's no good, right? They fly in front of your face, and spiders they just sit in the corner out the way. They're the happy little dudes, you know, living their best life.
They're just crawling around in my personal space.
Like, you know, flies will land on your food, and they've landed on some poop somewhere, and they're trying to spread bad stuff. That's what I'm saying. Spiders, though, they're just like spiders are friends, not enemies, man.
No, they're here the enemy. Spiders are the enemy. Past a certain size, spiders are the enemy. Below a certain size, I couldn't care less.
I'm less a fan of because they fly, right? Like, if spiders were flying, I think I'd be less interested in. I'd be like more like, no, they can go, right? But
I think that daddy long legs are flying spiders effectively, right. But I'm less.
But do they make webs?
No, I don't think so. I'm less annoyed by daddy long legs because they're thinner, right? Spiders can be thick. Like, daddy long legs, they're just spindly little wispy things. Spiders can be quite thick, man. I've seen some thick spiders. The one I vacuumed up the other day was quite thick.
Falcidae is what they're actually called.
Is that their actual name?
Something like that. I heard someone call them Jimmy Spinners.
I prefer that, you know.
Yeah.
Actually, no, I prefer daddy long legs.
Daddy long legs is also just like a crazy name. The fact that, like, I don't know why. Who was like, ooh, yeah, that daddy long leg.
Is it a UK thing?
The Wikipedia article has it. Like, I don't know if they're like native to the UK or something, but like, if you type in daddy long legs,
I see it. Falcidae. Yeah, I see that.
It says the first line is the common name daddy long legs. Like, it's, you know.
Yeah, or cellar spider. So they are classed as spiders.
Carpenter spider, daddy long legger, vibrating spider, gyrating spider, long daddy, or skull spider.
Gyrating spider. I don't think I've ever seen one gyrate, to be honest.
Gosh, the Wikipedia page, the close-up on that is horrible.
Oh, I'm looking at some of these. They're nasty. You see their bloody eyes, can't you? Jesus.
Yeah.
If you have arachnophobia, don't go on the Wikipedia page for Falcidae / daddy long legs.
It says they're found in every continent in the world apart from Antarctica.
Wow.
So everyone gets them.
Does that mean they're found in the Arctic? Or is the Arctic not a continent? I always forget what the...
Well, Antarctica is the continent, right?
The other side.
Oh,
the
like
other
the
side.
North. Yeah, no, it doesn't look like it. I'm going to send you a map here of where they're found, which is basically everywhere.
I see this. Oh, yeah, it is literally everywhere apart from the very northern, apart from like Canada and the Arctic. Wow, there you go.
Diet. Although they do eat insects, certain species can eat humans. No, that's not what it says. Certain species of these Certain species of these spiders invade webs of other spiders to eat the host. the eggs
Oh
or
my
the prey.
God.
In some cases, the spider vibrates the web of the other spider, mimicking the struggle of trapped prey to lure the host closer.
No,
So they
these
get
guys
in
are
there.
evil.
They get in there and they shake the web like, oh, look, you've got a fly. Come on, come get it. You got a fly. And then as soon as they come out, they just eat them out.
Oh, wow. These guys are terrible. I
Yeah,
always thought
man.
they're wispy little MFs, but they're causing mischief, man. That's
man.
why they're gyrating. They're gyrating these spiders' webs, get these spiders all excited, and the spiders are getting at. Damn.
It says these
That
may be
is,
beneficial to humans living in regions with dense hobo spider populations. So I imagine hobo spiders are like just more dangerous and the daddy longlegs can like eat them or something.
Right.
So there you go, man.
There's a whole
The more you know.
ecosystem here, right? That we just don't know about, but it's under our very noses or on our front doors.
Legs maybe up to 2 inches long.
Yeah, I can. Yeah, I think I've seen that. To be honest, just kind of flying around, legs just dangling all over the place, dangling about. They're menacing creatures, man.
I'm against them because they're getting rid of the other spiders that are doing good work for me, right? I don't think I've ever seen a daddy longlegs like with a web. Maybe because it might web and leave. I don't know, but you know, if it's eating my other spiders, man, that are keeping me protected from flies, I don't want the daddy longlegs, man. I want the normal spiders.
Oh, the thing is, though, have you ever seen a fly caught in a spider web that's in your house?
I think they eat them real fast. Like I think they're just like. Maybe.
Flies are just so annoying. They just fly all over the place in your place. I feel like they don't get caught in spider webs. To be fair, I've not seen.
They must do. What are the spiders eating? Like if they're reproducing, they can't just be like sitting there webbing up and then just dying. Like they have to eat something.
The spiders, they're not really in visible areas, right? They're like behind your washing machine and you know in your cupboard. But that's not where flies go, right? This is my point.
I see occasionally. I'll see quite a few cobwebs, maybe like in the corners. You know, obviously those are like cleaned out or whatever. But sometimes you see them in the corner of a roof, maybe like potentially.
Interesting. Outside, I get it. I fully understand outside. When spiders are outside, be my guest. Live your best life, right? Like, have your flies get caught in your outdoor webs and in your plants and on the side of your house and all that and eat them. All good. It's when they're inside, man. Something changes when they're inside. They suddenly seem bigger and more violating than when they're outside, right?
How many calories a year do you think a spider needs to survive?
That's a good question. Probably not a lot, you know.
Yeah, it's probably
like it's probably just eating the dust under your vacuum cleaner, right? And it's probably surviving off of that. Like I'd probably like 100.
I was gonna say like 50, maybe. Yeah, it's
right. That's probably 100's probably too much.
Yeah, right.
The volume must be insanely smaller. Like many orders of magnitude could be.
That's the thing is, if I imagine you, if I divide you by like 2,000, that's gonna be bigger than a spider, right?
Oh, 100%.
If I cut you into 2,000 chunks, that chunk is probably bigger and weighs more than a spider does. So they probably need next to nothing, man. But I wonder how many flies, like one regular sized fly, I wonder how does that feed one spider? Do they divide that up between multiple spiders? Like, what's the?
I think it's a free for all. You know, I think.
But I wonder how many flies, like a week, a year, a month, does a one spider need to survive? Right? Is it like you catch one fly and you're good for the month? Or
flies are quite big compared to spiders. Especially the small ones outside, right? Because I have seen flies get caught in those outdoor spider webs. According to Quora, which is the world's most reputable platform for information,
hyperactive.
550 calories for a 200-gram lycosid spider, but that's a big spider. 200 grams, no spider.
Was that 550 calories off? Did you say 5 and 50? Or between
5 and 50, I think that's a fat spider. Okay, I'm on Reddit now, which is even more reputable than Quora. Apparently, spiders need approximately
2,000 a day.
2,000, yeah, they need how much we need. I don't know whether they're eating all by stuff. Oh, people give me too many calculations. 0.001 calories per day?
Yeah.
Seems too low, right?
I don't know. Not 0.001.
Oh, here we go. I've got a ratio.
Okay.
22 grams of food per year for 1 gram of spider.
Oh. So yeah, really not a lot.
There you go. Not a lot at all. Do you reckon we eat 22 grams of food per year per 1 gram of human?
No way. If like
So let me see how much I weigh.
That's 22 kilos per kilo, right?
63 times 22. So apparently I eat 1.386 tons of food per year if I followed the spider to fly ratio.
1.386 divided by 365. That's not much.
3.8 kilos of food per day.
Is that right? Oh, yeah, no, 3.8 kilos a day.
That's quite a bit.
There's no way. There's no way.
That's too much.
That's too much.
That's far too much.
Right? Like, there's no way.
I probably eat half of that, right?
If that, maybe, like, even if you have, like, 2 portions of meat a day, I feel like 2 portions of meat is going to be, like, at most 400 grams. And that's, like, some big portions.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. And then, like, you're not going to eat that much in terms of rice. You know, you might have, like, 100 grams of rice or pasta or something like that.
Yeah, we're not counting water or kind of fluid intake here.
Even if you did count water, like, you know, you might have, like...
Well, water's a lot, right? Because
it's a 1-to-1, right?
Yeah, 3 liters of water per day, so 3 kilos of water.
I guess that's true, yeah.
Per day. So...
I was thinking more about counting liquid, what I would think of as liquid foods. I'm thinking like milk and cereal as opposed to water for hydration, right? So like even if you counted the liquid foods you eat, 3.8 kilos is a lot.
That's too much. That's too much. I reckon, how much food do I eat? I have probably 2 packs of chicken, 2 packs of veg. How much is chicken's about, what, 350 grams? About 700 grams. I reckon I eat about 1.
There's no way you're eating 700 grams of chicken a day. That's an insane amount of chicken.
Yeah, man. You know, the packs of chicken, 340 gram from the shop. There's about 4 of them. They got about 450 calories in them total.
Wait, are you talking like chicken breast?
Yeah, let me have a look. So I from Sainsbury's, I have the peri-peri one. So peri-peri, chicken, breast, Sainsbury's. So I'll have a pack of that. How much is this? This is 315 grams. Yeah. And then the other one that I usually consume is that Cajun one. Cajun chicken. Sainsbury's.
It's the same.
Very similar. 330.
Right.
So that's
like 650.
650. And then
that's a lot of chicken.
There's a lot of chicken. I do eat quite a lot of chicken. Sainsbury's Med Veg, because I'll have that usually, like a pack of that with the chicken.
Nick's eating about 1.5 pounds of chicken, by the way, for the international audience per day.
Yeah, there you go. So the Med Veg is come on. Don't give me it. 400 grams. Oh my goodness, that's a lot of veg. I didn't realize it was that heavy. I guess there's a lot of water in vegetables. So that's 400 grams. I probably have beans with the other ones, probably 100 grams, 500. So yeah, about 1.1 kilos of food is doing my lunch and my dinner, right?
Right.
So I reckon, yeah, about 1.3 to 1.5 kilos per day. So I'm doing about half of the spider ratio, right?
Right.
Obviously it varies. I don't eat 2 packs of chicken every day.
I was going to say that's what I was getting the impression.
One of them might be fish, right? One of them might be fish.
I was thinking
pasta.
You were committing to like 650 grams of chicken every single day, which is a lot of chicken.
There are a few days where I will eat that much chicken, but those are usually days where I've done a lot of walking or gymming. But that is interesting, you know. That is very interesting. Spiders eat a lot then, but I guess they're always... Think about it, right? Spiders probably... I'm trying to calculate how much they move in relation to their volume, right?
Yeah.
As opposed to how much we move compared to our volume, right? Because look at a spider getting across the house. That's like us doing like quite like a couple kilometers or something like that, right? Like it's a bit of a trek. So maybe that's why their ratio is higher.
They're also just carrying less, right? Like they're not carrying as much like fat, muscle, anything like that. It seems like they're just made to move. Like they make the webs and they move. That's their thing, right?
Maybe the webbing takes a lot of nutrition, right?
Strenuous calorie burning
webbing, right?
I mean, to be fair, that's web. That does make sense. Like we don't create anything. Like we don't excrete such a vast amount. Like they probably make more than they wear, right?
Right. We're not Spider-Man. Are we?
Exactly.
We're not like flinging ourselves off the buildings.
I think that might be it, man. I think it might be the web making that like requires the vast calorie intake.
So you reckon Peter Parker as how much was it? Like 4 kilos of food per day to make up for it.
Maybe. You think we should do a YouTube video, like a Mr. Beast style, where it's like, we eat like spiders for a year, and we see if we can eat 1.4 tons of food in 1 year.
Yeah, right. I wouldn't mind doing that. It'd be really tasty, but my waistline would be suffering terribly.
What's the heaviest food with the lowest number of calories? That's not something you don't have to think about as a human, right? The weight to calorie ratio.
4 kilos of cucumbers and courgettes. Well, that's the way forward. Celery, right?
Yeah, 4 kilos of lettuce every day.
That's it. That'll probably provide you 3 liters of water as well. So you don't even have to drink water to.
Well, at that
to
point,
go
you're mostly just
it.
eating water, right?
That's exactly it.
We're trying to sneak the water into the food. Yeah, I guess that's true. I guess like the more. I imagine the more dehydrated a food is, the more calorie dense it is, like per gram.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas the other way around, the less dehydrated, the more water dense a food is, the less calorie dense it's going to be, right?
Exactly. Which is why I guess the 400 grams of vegetables isn't, heavy, as opposed to 330 grams of chicken, which would fill you up more. I guess it's the makeup, right? Like proteins and starches and all that good stuff on the food wheel.
If we went the other way around, it looks like popcorn is like a low weight, high calorie. It's also low calories, but depending on how you dress it, I guess it's popcorn, right? If
lots of oil, I guess, right?
Yeah. I guess just oil in general, is the way you go about it.
That's probably right.
If you try and drink 1.4 tons of oil a year, you're going to die.
Because oil is fuel, and therefore, mathematically, oil is very high calorie, because calories is just a measure of energy, right?
Yeah.
So that would make a lot of sense. No, that sounds pretty good. Cheese probably up there, but cheese is quite heavy, I guess.
I think oil's like 100 calories. like 800 calories for 100 mil, right? And so if you do like 800 times 37 to get you 3.7 kilos of oil a day, that would be 30,000 calories. So if you were to eat 22 times your weight in oil per year, you'd get just shy of 11 million calories in for the year, which is probably a few more than you actually need.
Yeah, 33,000 calories per day is like 15 times more than I think you're supposed to have. So the 11 million is probably, again, 15 times more in the year than you're meant to have.
I don't think you could do it. I don't think you could drink. First of all, it'd be very expensive to consume 4 kilos of oil per day.
That's a lot of oil. You're gonna have to be getting those drums of oil, right?
But like also
from the supermarket.
I just don't think it'd last. I don't think you could physically consume 4 liters, 4 kilos. In this scenario, I'm assuming that 1 liter of oil weighs a kilo. I think that's not quite true. I think a liter of oil probably weighs more than a kilo.
Yeah,
because it's
right.
Water is 1-to-1, right? Whereas oil is heavier than water. So, it's probably like 3.8 kilos of oil is like 2.8 liters of oil or something like that. But even then, I don't think you could drink 3 liters of oil a day.
No, I think you get coronary problems very quickly.
Yeah.
Right, heart disease, just blocked arteries.
I just think
I don't think it'd be a fun
you'd
time,
start
to be
trying,
honest.
you'd drink like maybe a liter, you'd feel terrible, horrendous.
You'd probably need to go to hospital. Like it'd probably do something
pumped.
too. Sounds like a Chubby Emu video, right? So, man drinks 1 liter of oil for a science. This is what happened to his arteries. Boom. 2 million views on YouTube.
To be fair though, man, you see some of these recipes on YouTube and they're like just a quick drizzle of olive oil and then they pour like what looks like about 400 ml.
Honestly, it's the Marco Pierre White.
Yeah.
He's Gordon Ramsay's mentor. I've seen a few of his YouTube videos. So like bit of oil, it's like glug 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 glug, and I'm like, Jesus, man! All the comments are just memeing, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's the classic meme about one shot of vodka, and she just goes, she just keeps pouring.
Oh my god, it's someone else.
But it's always the same with chefs, man. They'll be like, small pinch of salt, and then they'll pick it up and they'll be falling out of their fingers for about 45 minutes after they say small pinch of salt.
Right.
And they've got like a fistful of the stuff that they're still sprinkling down.
Is this why they're so famous for their food tasting good? It's just the natural science of it containing so much fat and salt.
Yeah, I think
it just tastes amazing. Honestly.
I think that's definitely the case, yeah.
Oh man, that's probably it. That's the key.
If you want to make great tasting, I think that is the thing. I think that's what differentiates like like restaurant food from home food is that like most home cooks would like
Hold
not
back.
be happy at all at the amount of like they they'd feel uncomfortable about the amount of fat and salt that goes into like a delicious restaurant made dish. Which is fair because I imagine if you eat that, if you eat that regularly, I imagine you're gonna be dead quick, which is not good.
Or a carbonara, right? Just loaded with cheese and egg. Yeah, that's a lot.
Speaking of restaurants, though, man, you mentioned that you went out for a steak the other night and got accosted by a spider, which derailed your evening. I did. Went out for dinner last night, actually, to a restaurant I'd not been to before that is fairly close by. My girlfriend mentioned it. She was like, "Oh yeah, no, we've seen it on Uber Eats," and I've been like, "Oh, we should check that out." And so we went last night, and this place was dead. We walk in, 8 p.m., let's say, and there is not a soul in this restaurant apart from a lady behind the counter, and then like another dude somewhere else behind the counter, and then some cooks in the back, right? And so I walk in, and I, normally you walk in and there's like a thing at the front where you wait to be seated. I just walked, like, there was no thing to wait to be seated, so I just walked right up to the, like, till, the counter. And she turned around. She seemed a bit surprised that somebody had come in. And I turned around. She turned around and she was like, table for two? And I, like, kind of one of those awkward situations where I was halfway through saying table for two when she also said table for two. And so I'm like, yeah, table for two. And she's like, where would you like to sit? Because the whole restaurant is free. And so we picked, like, a booth that's a little, that's somewhat less visible from the kitchen. Like, it's not.
Sure, yeah.
So I'm not just looking straight at the staff that are, because we're the only ones there. So we got in the booth, whatever. And at this point, they I think they hand us both a menu, and this is like a Caribbean restaurant, by the way. It's like a Caribbean style restaurant, at least. And so I'm like, okay. She sits us down, and I assume it's a restaurant that normally does table service, but she was like, if it's all right, could you just pay at come up to the till to order? And I'm like, yeah, sure, fine. And so I think the fact that we're the only people in there is the reason they've been like, hey, do you want to come up to the till to order? Which, like, I understand. Like, it's probably like a bit of a pain to have somebody just serving one table. And like, I would personally dislike it if I was the only table there. Because there's nothing worse, I think, than like having like a hawkish server who keeps coming back to you like way too frequently. Being like, is everything all right? Is everything all right? Can I get you anything else? Is everything all right? And you're like, no, it's all right. Yeah, we're good. Thanks. Yeah, it's tasty. Good. Thanks. You want anything else? No, we're good. No, we're all right. Thanks. Yeah, no, it's good. Every like 5 minutes, right? Like they're just waiting and waiting. And like, they're like, oh, you're done here? And oh, no, never mind. And they walk away and then they come back and,
I know.
Still.
Yeah. I know the
But
one.
at the same time, I feel like if you're trying to get more people into your restaurant, having like I don't know, I feel like when we came in, you wanted us to give a good review, right? You want us to like try and bring other people in. So I don't. It was odd that they requested that we go up and order at the till. But anyway, so we sit down instantly. Within like 4 nanoseconds, this other guy walks over and is like, hey, can I get you some drinks, maybe some starters? And I'm like, I've not even looked at the menu yet. I don't know what you serve at all. This drives me insane. I really dislike when you are given 0 time to choose a drink. Like, usually it's a drink. This guy wanted to ask about starters as well. I've not even looked at the menu. But the fact that, because he came over and he reiterated the same thing. He was like, oh, you can just walk up to order your mains. But he was like, oh, can I get you started with any drinks and starters maybe?
Oh.
But I'm like, and so I was just like, I took a quick glance at the thing. I'm like, yeah, can I take a Coke Zero? And he's like, oh, no, we do Diet Coke. It said Coke Zero on the menu, but he said, we do Diet Coke. And I'm like, yeah, fine, whatever. And I'm like, can we have a few minutes for the starter? And he's like, yeah, that's fine. So anyway, we pick what we want. We go up and I go to order at the till, right? And I order my starters and my mains. The thing, I feel like I got a little shafted here because
Okay.
I went to order 2 mains, right? So I ordered the mains, and I ordered the first main, and he's like, oh, would you like a side salad with that? And I'm like, I kind of looked a bit confused, and I was like, do you mean like instead of the fries, or is like fries and side salad? And he was like, oh no, like, just as a side salad with the fries. And I'm like, sure, why not? And then he goes and he, and then I ordered I ordered my girlfriend's food, and then I ordered my food. And he's like, would you like a side salad with that? And I'm like, sure, why not, right? And then I look down at the till, and I see that it's £2 per side salad that's been added to the menu, and I'm like, bruh, then these side salads, they were like tiny little pots that came.
Yeah.
They were just like lettuce. And I'm like,
yeah.
like, I get it. You know, there's not many customers here. You know, you're trying to make some money because this restaurant is clearly dead. But at the same time, it's just, I feel like it's just bad practice, man. Like, you know, I'm not gonna, like, don't get me wrong, the food, delicious. Actually really good. The staff were super friendly about it all. And it was a good time. I'd go back. But like, at the same time, it's just the little things like that where you're like, you know, I got charged £4 for 2 side salads that I didn't really want, you know? And I also didn't eat because there was already way too much food.
Yeah,
fair. And it's just like the way they offer the upsell is like, I feel like if you're going to offer somebody upsell, you should say the price when you offer the upsell.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I had the same thing at Cafe Nero like 2 days ago. You know, she was like, oh, do you want this? Usually they say, would you like to upgrade to the single origin roast for 20p or whatever? And they didn't. They were just like, oh, would you like our El Salvador roast or whatever? And I was like, yeah, sure, why not? And then it's like, you know, plus 50p. And I'm like, okay, but like you should have said when you offered me the upgrade, right? That was the price.
Yeah. Dude.
I never know what to say yes and no to, right? Like sometimes if I just say, go on.
Yeah, Cafe Nero are sneaky. Do you know what they ask me?
What's that?
They say, do you want your coffee strong or smooth? And if you say smooth, that's the El Salvador roast.
That's real bad.
And they will charge you.
That's so bad.
Right?
Wow.
Just an observation that came into my head as you said that. But yeah, it is interesting, isn't it? The way they do that. I used to have Starbucks do it. They were like, do you want our blonde roast? And I used to be like, yeah. And it'd be like, whoop, money go up, right? The Cafe Nero.
They say it. They're like, would you like our blonde roast? And then you look a little like you're thinking about it, and they're like, oh, it's just like a stronger version of our regular roast. And you're like, oh, sure, fine. They say it so nonchalantly as if it's just like an option, right? Like as if it's just like you can swap this for this kind of vibe, right? Like if you just happen to, we're just being nice and offering you a stronger version of our espresso blend. Would you like it? And you're like, yeah, sure. And it's like, okay, ka-ching.
Right? And then you put your alternative milk and your syrup on, and next thing you know, you've got a £5.50 coffee, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
The upsells aren't nice. I'm not going to lie. I'm trying to think. I don't think there's been many restaurant experiences where I've had an upsell. I think they've always said, would you like extra ... with that?
He tried to upsell me after the fact on that because I placed both my orders. Like I'd ordered 2 starters, 2 mains with extra side salads. And then he was like, oh, you want any sides with that? Like any mash, any coleslaw? And I'm like, no, I'm okay, thanks. And to be fair, we received a staggering amount of food. Like I finished my main, but I was forcing myself to finish that main because I was like 2 seconds into starting to eat it, I was like, I'm way too full. And so to have, if we'd have got sides with that, that's way too much food. This dude is pushing like a staggering amount of food onto us if we'd have got mash along with like the mains that we ordered. But yeah, no, I feel like I don't normally get upsold at restaurants too much. And sometimes it's more obvious, right? Like I've been to some places and they're like, like, would you like fries with that? Or even at a restaurant, like, would you like chips? Like, can I interest you in a portion of chips today? And I feel like in that scenario, it's quite obvious that that's like an upsell. But like, I feel like side salads are so variable because sometimes you go to a place and they just give you a side salad, right? Like your food comes out and there's just like a little bit of salad, right? And so I feel like it's extra sneaky to be like, oh, would you like a little bit of salad with that? Yep, okay. And then just like, you might as well charge like 12 quid for it at that point and just really like try and milk people for it, you know? But yeah.
Very interesting. You know what? I've never heard of a restaurant where obviously they were doing this just because you two were the only two in the restaurant, but I've never heard of a restaurant where they take your starter order and then you go up to have the mains order. Yeah, that's I mean, bizarre.
I think they didn't want to have someone dedicated to serving us because we were the only ones in there. But then I think this other guy was like, we need to make a good impression, so I'm going to go and, say hi and like, ask for the drinks order and also like a starter or something. I think they just, they wanted to. I mean, I assume they wanted to give a good impression. It was a very bizarre experience.
Very interesting.
This restaurant had seating for like 100 people, by the way. It was a fairly big place, and there's just nobody in here. They had 2 floors. There was an upstairs area as well that was just empty.
Jeez, the Monday night, man. The Monday night. I mean, I was out. So the restaurant, when I went to the restaurant, that was also last night, right? Monday night. shockingly busy.
Yeah.
Almost didn't book. I decided to book. Shockingly busy. Thank God we did. So the drinks thing, right? The immediately coming up to you and asking for drinks and starters. Now, I usually am not too peeved by that. And I always say, okay, can we have another couple minutes, right?
Yeah.
The thing is that in 90% of cases, they come back like 20 minutes later.
Yeah.
And it's this period between it's too fast at the beginning and then it's too long afterwards. That is where it becomes a bit like annoying. And then you always think, oh, I wish I told them at the beginning, right? I wish I gave my order when they came up to me, but you can't. I wonder if so many people these days look at restaurants' menus online beforehand. They assume that you've done that, and they come up to you.
I'll kind of glance at a menu ahead of time to see if it's a new place, to see what kind of food they do. But I'm never like planning out my meal ahead of time, right? I'm never looking at the menu and being like, I'm going to get this, and a drink of this with a side of this, and then maybe this for dessert if I'm hungry. Like, I'm never going through that rigmarole, but I can see why they would probably give you a lot of time, because I imagine that the alternative is that you run the risk of going back and the person being like a little peeved and be like, no, can we have a few more minutes, please? You know, if someone says, can we have a few minutes to look at the drinks? And then you go away and you come back, let's say 3 minutes later, and they've not decided, you're going to kind of, it's just that awkward situation where they have to again say, no, can we have a few more minutes, please? Or they have to kind of rush to their drinks. And it's just a bad feeling for for all of the people ordering food, right? So
that's it.
I can see why, but I'm totally with you in that I dislike tremendously. I hate sitting down at a restaurant, especially when they've got a massive drinks menu. They've got like 100 different cocktails. They do shots. They do like all the soft drinks. They do like hot coffees. They'll do everything. And they're like,
wine list.
Yeah, exactly.
As well.
Like 400 wines they do. They're like, oh, can I get you something to drink? And it's like, can we have a few minutes to look at the menu? And then, I just like the fact that then they take 45 minutes to come back to take your drinks order. Oftentimes, for me, they'll go away to come get the drinks order. They'll go away. They'll come back like 15 minutes to get the drinks order. I'm ready with my whole order. I have the whole thing. Like, you know what I mean? The two of us are just like, oh yeah, can we get this, and this, and we'll just order the whole thing then and there. So, but I do wish there was just like a slight gap. Just give me a few minutes and then come get my drinks, you know?
They just need the button, man. They just need the little button on the table. You push it when you're ready to order.
Yeah.
And it just
maybe
says,
two buttons. Maybe
30.
like drinks and food.
Yeah,
you know?
right.
Push a drinks button and someone can come and, prioritize you and be like, oh, you want some drinks? You know,
here you go. Yeah,
and you can also do it for like refills or whatever. It'd be nice, but
yeah, that's what we need, peeps. That's what we need. Yeah, no, very interesting, very interesting. I can't say I've been in a empty restaurant in a long time. Yeah. I don't think I've been to an empty restaurant in a very, very long time. I'm trying to wrap my brain.
I mean, I think you live in a denser metropolitan area than I do.
That's the thing. Yeah, right? I'm trying to imagine if like maybe
I want to clarify that I don't live in the middle of nowhere, right? There are a lot of people around where I live. But this place was just not busy.
I think the only time that's ever happened is when I've been abroad, like a truly empty restaurant where we've been the only people there. I think it's when we've been abroad. Yeah. I do wonder if those portion sizes were extra large just because they must have had more than usual stuff that would have gone to waste.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
So I had a similar experience earlier in the week. We'd been to a brunch place. And my girlfriend got like, it's a place we've been to quite a few times. My girlfriend got like this, it's got like waffles that came with fruit on top. And this time the restaurant, the cafe place was like real quiet, right? There were like one or two people, tables in there, when usually it's quite busy. And she ordered it this time, she got a ton of fruit. And I'm thinking, fruit's pretty perishable, right? I'm wondering if because of the fact that it's so quiet, they're like, we've got to get this fruit, we've got to use it. Like, why are they going to give it to this person or throw it away? So I think they just gave them extra fruit because of the fact that they had loads of it. But I think that's definitely potentially a thing, yeah.
Interesting, very interesting. Well, speaking of tasting things, Isaac, and consumption of sweetness, have you ever had a Nespresso coffee?
I have not.
Okay, interesting. So, this is an international brand, but for people who aren't aware of what Nespresso is, it's Nestle's coffee brand, where they will sell you a coffee machine and then they also sell you these capsules that are effectively one-shot espresso capsules that you put in, push the button, it will brew out an espresso shot, and then you put another one in the next time you want a coffee.
They call them pods. Is that what they call them?
I think so. Your pods or capsules. Yeah, pods. I think it is pods.
Yeah.
So quite a long time ago.
Concept,
Yeah. It's really interesting. So quite a few years ago, I had an espresso machine. It was when I was at university, and I used to get the pods. I think it worked out to like 30p per pod, I want to say. So 30p per coffee. I think like a sleeve of 10 pods would cost you about £3. A little bit higher, a little bit lower, depending on which flavor you chose. They always had a load of flavors. And it was fine. The specific machine I bought had a really nasty plasticky taste to it. Like the internal plastics, like clearly were leaching into the water. And that wasn't great, but I've tried other machines where it's completely fine. And, the coffee is not actually terrible considering it's come out of a pod. But the very interesting thing about Nespresso is that they've created this whole brand experience around the idea of these coffee machines and these pods, because in a number of shopping centers and high streets, you get Nespresso stores.
Yep.
Right? So these are effectively the best way I can describe them. And for people who have gone to them before, they'll understand what I mean. You've got this Apple Store feel, right? Where you walk in and then there's these tables with like all of the different machines that are sold on these tables. And then you've got this wall, this massive wall full of all of the different flavors of pods they sell. And what you do is you go in and you can actually try flavors of coffee, right? And it's a really interesting experience, just because like it's something that's so kind of like mainstream. Like, people have Nespresso coffee machines and they have Nespresso coffees. It's not like a really high-end thing, but they've created this really like upmarket experience almost.
Yeah.
So I've always seen these. I've never actually gone before until a couple of weeks ago. My girlfriend got an espresso machine and she got like a range of starter pods that they give you, right? They give you like a couple of 10 flavors. They give you like 20 or 30 different pods, and you kind of try the ones you like. And then they say, hey, if you want to try more flavors, come into our stores.
Yep.
So she said to me, do you want to go to the Nespresso store? I want to get some coffee. And she was like, I want this one and this one, but we can go coffee tasting. And at this point, I didn't actually know that you could do that in these stores, but I was like, yeah, of course, no problem. So we went, and you walk in and you really do feel like you're in an Apple store. Like they've got all these machines and they've got like the £50 ones leading up to these crazy like £750 touchscreen ones, but it's the same pods, which is what's so interesting to me. Like the actual quality of the coffee surely can't differ that much depending on how much you spend, but you like open the thing, you put the same pods in, but then it's like it's got a touch screen. You've got like do you want a cappuccino or a latte or a flat white? It's got like the milk steamer and all of that. It's like made of metal. And you go in and then people approach you and they're like, hi, the usual, can I help you today? The classic like department store, can I help you today? Da, 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 da. And my girlfriend was like, oh yeah, I'd like to try, she was like, I've got an espresso machine. I'd like to try this, this, and this. And he was like, oh, cool, you know what you want. And then the first time we went, the guy asked me, what do you want? And I was like, and then he gave me like a menu, right? They give you like a coffee menu. And I picked one. I think the one I tried first was like a cold brew. And he was like, yeah, cool, no worries. And then they get like these fancy like glass Nespresso mugs and they'll like make you this coffee. And they'll be like, do you want regular milk with it? Would you like oat milk with it? And I'll be like, oh, I wanted, the first time I got oat milk, had this. It was nice, like it was decent. I went again the other day and I got a different coffee. I think the one I got was like a hazelnut flavored one.
Every day on your way to work, you go past an espresso store. You're like, I'd like to try caramel today, please.
This is the thing, right? So the first time I went, I tried, I want to say 3 coffees, right? I was freaking bouncing off the walls after that. Yesterday, we went at like 4:30 p.m. So I only had the one deliberately. I was telling Isaac before we started, I still didn't get very good sleep last night. And I think it's because I had this coffee at 4:30 p.m. and they're quite strong, that's the thing. But you could just go and get free coffee from these stores. Like I saw a couple of people who came in and they didn't specify that they had a machine. they were just like, yeah, I want to try this. And they're like, yeah, here you go.
Well, I guess that makes sense, right? Because like I imagine there are some people who don't have a machine, but then like the idea is that if you try it and you like it, they sell you on the machine.
Yeah.
Right?
So this is the thing. Yeah. So I think that is the in. But it made me realize like they are giving away quite a lot of coffee pods here in this effectively marketing process. But it must pay off, right? Must pay off.
Well, I mean that's the thing. I think like if someone gives you 3 coffee pods, it costs the consumer £1, right? 90p, I guess, for 3 coffee pods or thereabouts. I looked it up and they're £4 now at Sainsbury's, so 40p per coffee or whatever. They are almost certainly paying a lot less for those pods, right? They're not paying 40 pence a pod. And I think that's the thing. I think that they are like £4 for 10 coffees is a lot in the coffee world, right? Like a bag of coffee beans will get you a lot more than 10 coffees for £4, right? Because that's what I've got. I've got like an all-in-one, grinder, like espresso maker.
Bean to cup.
Yeah, exactly. With like a little steam on next to it, right? Which is a lot less than £700, right? But I do see the convenience, and I can see why. And I imagine they just make the money back on the pods, right? They're making so much money on those pods that.
Here's the thing, yes.
It's worth it.
I actually quite like Nespresso. I don't have an espresso machine, but if I kind of lived away from coffee shops and I didn't have like a subscription to coffee and stuff like that, I would probably get one, right? The machine, right, here we go, 750 quid. This is the most expensive machine they sell with the, what was it, Nespresso Plus subscription, where you pay a monthly fee and subscribe to get coffee pods every month, £450. Right. £300 off your coffee machine. So you really see the margins here, I think, as well. Because I reckon that, I mean, the cost price of that coffee machine is still not going to be £450, right? It's going to be less than that. But they'll take a massive hit on their profit, given that if you're going to buy such a expensive coffee machine, you're going to be getting quite a lot of pods for that thing. But it was a very interesting experience and a good way, people, to get free coffee. That isn't actually too bad. So there you go. But
that's yeah. I mean, I assume if you tried to go in every morning at 9 a.m. and we're like, hey, I'd like to try, hazelnut today, and then the next day you were like, I'd like to try, the mocha today. I imagine eventually they'd be like, sir, you need to buy a machine or we can't give you any more coffee, right? Like,
what you got to do, right, is you've got to like figure out what days which staff work and just trickle it just perfectly so that they don't really notice. I
think it'd be easier to do, especially if you had like, if you can get like at least 1 or 2 coworkers involved with you, right? I don't know, just go in and get like 1 or 2 coffees and then leave and just cycle people. Right.
And then the other thing is, right, is you figure out the purchasing of sleeve to free coffee ratio, right? So if you get like 15 free coffees, but then after the 15th, when they're getting a little bit and like kind of suspicious, you're like, oh, I'll buy the sleeve of this. And they're like, oh, okay, fine. But then you go again for 2 weeks, right? Get free coffees for 2 weeks. Then you're like, oh yeah, I'll get another sleeve of this.
You're just really undecided. You're like, I just don't know. I really like the
hazelnut,
but like the caramel's so nice. Can I try that hazelnut again?
Very attentive staff, I must say.
I've seen them. Like I've walked past them in shopping centers. I've never been inside of one because I don't have an espresso machine. But
it's interesting. Well, if you want free coffee, Isaac, head into an espresso store and ask for whatever. That looks nice on your.
I'd feel bad. Is the thing. I'd feel bad walking into a store with no intention at all of purchasing any coffee or any machines and being like, oh yeah, can I try hazelnut or whatever? And then just walking out afterwards, just drinking the drink and just leaving. I'd feel bad about it, man. I probably shouldn't. Nestle's like $1 billion corporation. They can afford to lose 8 pence on my coffee, right? But
exactly. I feel bad doing that, even with free samples. I don't know if you ever get handed free samples, people with trays of free samples and they're handing them out, or there's like a shop and they're doing free samples. Even when I take a free sample, part of me feels obliged to be like, oh, this was nice. I should go in and maybe purchase something. Packet, but maybe that's the psychology of it, right? That's the thing.
Yeah, maybe, man. I don't feel so bad about free samples. Like, I'll take a free sample and move on. Although I never see free samples these days, man. Like, I can't remember the last time I saw a free sample, like, anywhere. I feel like growing up, there were occasionally free samples in the supermarket. But, like, these days, I feel like the supermarkets are so I feel like they penny pinch like crazy, man.
Yeah. I mean, I was only reminded by it because the last time I saw it was abroad, right?
Yeah, right.
Like little ice cream shops and stuff like that. With like,
here,
free samples.
here in the UK, the major supermarkets, they just are not. I can't remember the last time I saw a free sample out and about.
Yeah, that's a good point, actually. Because it always used to be like the fresh counters of supermarkets that would do things, right? Like, here's some cheese and stuff like that. The sad thing is all those fresh counters seem to be closing. I don't know if you've noticed those, but like the fish counters, the cheese counters, stuff like that, they're all having their shutters shut down because clearly not making as much money as the packaged stuff that ends up in the aisles, right?
I think it's just like a demographic thing, right? Like, when was the last time you went up to a fresh counter to get cheese, as opposed to just buying a packet of the cheese you want?
Yeah, I used to buy the fish. I used to buy fresh fish. I actually used to really I used to notice the difference, but the only reason I don't anymore is because it's shut.
Yeah.
I was clearly in the minority.
I mean, I think that's the thing. I think demographically, like, I think the older generation are more likely to be like, oh yeah, hi, can I get like 170 grams of cheddar from like the cheese guy,
the cheesemonger, right?
Yeah, right. Whereas cheesemonger's a strong word. You know, it's the 19-year-old that Morrison's have hired to work behind the cheese counter, like
the artisan cheesemonger, according to their eyes.
And he's like, which one's cheddar? You know, whereas I feel like most younger people are probably just gonna go buy a box of cheddar, like a packet of cheese, because it's cheaper and it's easier. You have to talk to somebody, right? And I think if there's one thing that Gen Z will do, it's not talk to a customer service employee if they can avoid it with their life. I went to the the meat counter for the first time ever, like 2 weeks ago, because me and my girlfriend, we were going to buy steak for dinner, and we were looking at the steaks they have, and I've mentioned before that like the supermarket steaks that ones that are pre-cut, they're like 225 grams. And so we were going to get like one each, but they're so thin, right? They're so like flat and thin that trying to get like, my girlfriend likes them rare, right? So trying to get them rare is so difficult if you're also trying to get like a nice crust on the outside, right? Because you've got to cook it hot and for a little bit of time to get like a crust, but then if you do that, then you cut it up and it's like grey. Like you've gone past medium rare, or past even medium sometimes. And so I was like, you know, we can just go to instead of buying two 200-gram steaks, let's go to the meat counter. You know, they've got sirloin or whatever ribeye there. We can just ask for a 400-gram, 450-gram, one big cut of steak, and then we can just cook that and then cut it in half and eat it, right? And that's what we did, and it was great, right? It was super tasty, and it was cheaper than buying two 200-gram steaks, which I thought was crazy. But I'd never like walked up and asked for anything at like the meat counter prior to that engagement.
Interesting. Was it well attended, the meat counter? Because what I've noticed is one these days, like before they shut, one person was like the counter person. So they were fish, cheese, and meat. And you used to have to get a bloody megaphone out to try and catch their attention because they were on the other side of the bloody supermarket. So then you'd be waving, they'd be like, oh, okay. Then they come up to you. And then someone would go to the meat counter, right? Then after they've given you your fish, they'd have to run over to them to give them their meat. So I was just curious if it was a well-attended counter.
The way mine was set up, it was kind of like that because there's like cheese. Because my local supermarket does still have a fish counter that is open, but it's on the other side of the supermarket. It's not connected to the meat. So there's cheese, like deli meats, you know, ham, turkey, cooked meats, and then raw meats. Those are all connected. And there's like one guy doing all that, but he was just kind of stood in the back. He was like chopping some cuts of meat, so he was in the meat section. And so we were just looking down, talking. Then when I was ready, I just kind of looked up. You know, we locked eyes. And then he was like, "Oh, okay." And he walked over, and he was like, "How can I help?" or whatever. And it was surprisingly fast.
Oh, okay, that's good because I've had people chopping stuff in back, and they've had their back turned. Right.
The thing so this was a perfect encounter. The guy who worked at this counter, very good, thumbs up, A star. However, the thing that I dislike tremendously, and the reason I don't go to the fish counter, is that I'll walk up and I'll want to look, I want to browse, but as soon as you walk up, they're like, "Hello, what can I get you? Would you like something?" And I'm like, No, I'm just like every time I've gone to the fish counter. Because I'm interested in, like, I don't know how much the tiger prawns are or something, right? I'm like, I walk up and I'm taking a look at the prices or, like, what they've got. But as soon as I walk up, there's, like, one person there ready to take my order. And they're like, "Hi, what can I help you with?" And I'm like, No,
You feel
nothing.
rushed.
Yeah, exactly, right? Like, I don't even know if I want to buy anything. I just want to see what you've got, right? I want to get my calculator app out on my phone. I want to do, like, the price comparison per kilo, because they give price per kilo. And then I want to be like, I want to pick up the packet salmon and be like, okay, so this is 225 grams of salmon, and it's this much per kilo. And then how much do I need? And I want to be able to, you know, take a second to be an informed shopper. But I feel like I can't get that sometimes at the manned counters. I feel like I'm sale pressured to upspend on too much fish, too much chicken, on more expensive fish.
Yeah, maybe that's the idea. Maybe that's the plan. Maybe they've been trained. Conspiracy theory.
Maybe.
Might not be true. My opinion.
I've never done it for cheese. You ever been to a cheese counter?
Never done it for cheese. I feel like a lot of supermarkets have the cheese counter. Sorry, not the cheese counter. The cheese like section of the aisle, right? And then they'll have the fancy cheeses next to that. So they've already got like a premium cheese aisle. So then I'm thinking, what's the point of going to the actual cheesemonger? Like,
I don't know. Maybe I need to go to the cheesemonger, man. Because I was talking to my girlfriend about this. We went to the supermarket earlier this week. The UK has a problem with cheddar, and I don't get it. It's the only cheese that is sold. You walk to the soup it's staggering. Like, the UK supermarkets, at least compared to what I've seen from US supermarkets, not as much variety, right? Like, there's like standard amounts of stuff, but you go to the cheese section of a supermarket and you've probably got like a tiny section that'll have like a little mozzarella, maybe some mascarpone or something. I'll have like a little bit of that. And then there's this wall of cheddar. Mild cheddar, medium cheddar, extra mature cheddar, super extra mature cheddar from like 8 different brands. There's like 8 brands that all sell the same range of mild cheddar, medium cheddar, mature cheddar, extra mature cheddar, white cheddar, orange cheddar. You can only buy cheddar. Like, I was looking, because you'll watch American recipe videos and they'll be like, oh yeah, throw a bit of Colby Jack cheese in. And I'm like, I go and look, I'm like, this is not something that is sold here. We have cheddar, cheddar, and if you're not interested in that, can we interest you in some cheddar? That's all that they sell at UK supermarkets is cheddar cheese, and I don't know why. I don't know why cheddar cheese is the only thing that UK supermarkets seem to be able to sell.
It's crazy. It is. You are right. It's like there is maybe, earlier when I said there's the regular cheese wall. It's effectively the cheddar wall, isn't it? It's like, what form of cheddar cheese do you want? And there'll be like your 2 parmesans, right? Yep. There's the normal one and then the premium one, and then that in, pre-grated form, right?
Dust form,
And then there's like the 2 balls of mozzarella.
Swept off the floor of the Parmesan cheese factory.
Exactly. And then you've got the premium ones with these tiny little blocks of, like the artisan quote unquote stuff that's,
you might get like a Wensleydale or like a Red Leicester or something.
Exactly, yeah. You might get ones with raisins in them. You get like the Red Leicesters and all that stuff. But maybe is cheddar like a UK speciality? Is it like a delicacy?
I think cheddar is I think cheddar is a UK cheese, right? Like, I think that's the case. I could be wrong on that. Yeah, it originates in the English village of Cheddar in Somerset. So like it's an English cheese, right? Like, it's from the UK. But still, like, it's the only cheese.
It's a lot. I mean, don't get me wrong, cheddar is great.
Cheddar is great.
But I've been in that situation as well, where I have been looking for not even American cheese, like a cheese that's well known. I forget which one it was, but it just wasn't there. It was just cheddar. I got cheddar as a substitute, right?
That's all you can do. All you can ever do in the UK is substitute any cheese with cheddar. And like, the thing is, I don't usually spend, I think until you start looking, you might not realize it, because you kind of walk in and you pick up the cheddar that you like, and your brain kind of sees that there's a lot of cheese there that you're not buying, and you assume that there's a lot of variation, right? Like, if you're not spending a lot of time, you walk in, you're like, oh, I want to get the Sainsbury's own cheddar or whatever. So you go and you pick it up, and then you see out the corner of your eye all these different colors and stuff, and you think, oh, there's a lot of cheese there. So next time when you need a special cheese, you're like, oh, I'll go back to Sainsbury's. They've got loads of cheese. And then you walk, and it turns out that instead of having a lot of different cheeses, it's just all cheddar. Like, when you focus in, you're like, oh, it's actually just all cheddar. Every cheese here is cheddar. That's all you can buy. But we must go through it. We must be ravenous for cheddar as a country. Like, there's no way that it's not being sold by the millions, right? Like,
right? Yeah, exactly. Geez. I mean, clearly, right? It's the market wants it. If there's that much, I mean, otherwise it would all be going off, and people wouldn't be ordering it. I wonder if cheddar is also Longer lasting, maybe, than other forms of cheese? Is it just easier to put on a
Can you like
shelf?
freeze it or something? I don't know.
I have no idea.
I don't think so. But there's just so much cheddar cheese, man. They can't be making all of it in cheddar. Like, there's no way that's the case.
Surely, yeah. I wonder if it's like designated protected origin, right?
But it's not cheap either, man. Like, you know, these days you go try and get a block of cheddar,
No.
it'll be like £6, £7. Like, they go
Right?
real pricey for the blocks of cheddar cheese.
Cheese is expensive, low key. Like, did it always used to be like this? Though?
I feel like it didn't used to be this expensive. No, I think like it's been a recent like inflation thing that's pushed the cheese real high.
It's the town of Cheddar. They're struggling, man. They've got to increase their wages. I would have
minimum wage in there. Minimum wage in cheddar is £30 an hour now.
Cheddar cheese.
It's crazy.
Here we go. I'm going to see if it has to come from cheddar.
I don't think so.
It just originates from there, right?
It might be one of those things where like, because I think some cheeses have to, right? Like,
yes,
Parmesan has to be from like a certain region in Italy, right?
Italy, yeah, that's correct.
Whereas I think other cheeses, you can use the name, but then if it says like DOM or something, it's like that's when it's like the official stuff.
Yeah, DPO
like
is what I've seen.
Oh yeah, sorry, DPO might be right.
Times.
Is it DPO? What's DOM? D.O.M. Cheese. Am I losing my mind or is it DPO? You'll see it anyway. You'll see some kind of acronym, right? Like sometimes I'll see it on like
PDO, not DPO. My bad. So it's
PDO. Okay, we'll get there eventually.
Protected designation of origin.
Ah, that makes sense. You'll see it on all kinds of stuff, right? Like sometimes you'll see it on like olive oil or, and then occasionally I'll see it on like feta. So it'll be like I'll have the Greek flag and it'll say PDO, like it's Greek feta officially, not just regular feta. Or like halloumi, they'll do the same. Like there's a bunch of cheeses where they'll do that. You get like Gruyere or something, you know, and that's like a Swiss cheese or something like that. So I think that's the idea where some cheeses. So there might be somewhere like some cheddar DPO where it's like officially from cheddar, but who knows, man?
And that'll be in the fancy aisle, right?
Yeah,
the cheddar's invading its way into the fancy aisle too. Oh.
PGI. What the heck's PGI mean?
PGI sounds like a movie rating,
right? I see. There's a list of European cheeses with protected geographical status.
Oh, protected geographical indication.
Oh,
apparently.
Because I see type and there's PDO and then PGI as well as another one. There you go.
Is PGI Welsh? I'm seeing a lot of Welsh things here when I typed it in. Welsh lamb and Welsh beef. PGI.
Maybe.
There's too many acronyms for these things, man.
There's a lot. It looks like there's a couple of things like West Country Farmhouse cheddar cheese. That's got a PDO from 1996. So like, I wonder if it's just like specific types of cheddar cheese, maybe.
Interesting.
Yeah. Anyway, that's my cheddar rant. I want more cheese variety, and like the place I live, there's no variety. There's no like specialty cheese places I can go to get like a random specialty cheese, right? Everything has to be either subbed with cheddar or mozzarella. Those are the options.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. Mozzarella's the other one, isn't it?
If it's a mild cheese of any kind, sub mozzarella. If it's a slightly less mild cheese of any kind, sub cheddar.
Yeah, that's all it. Exactly. And if it's anything really hard, sub parmesan.
Exactly. Yeah. Right. If it's really funky, just throw some parm in there.
Exactly.
Oh, I see you've put unpack on here, man, as one of your topics. And I noticed this previously. You want to introduce this topic though? I'm intrigued.
So I got a question for you, Isaac. Yep. When you go traveling, domestic or international, regardless of whichever, right? Yep. When you go to the abode you're staying in, be it a hotel, an Airbnb, a villa, whatever, right? Are you the type of person that immediately unpacks your entire suitcase? Or do you live out of your suitcase? And
go on.
Is there a time threshold, like a minimum length of stay, where you would leave everything in your suitcase before, or take everything out if you exceed it?
Yeah. So I am the latter. I live in my suitcase almost exclusively. Is there a time frame? Yes. It would probably be like over a month. Like if I was staying for maybe that's not true. If I had to do any kind of laundry whilst I was on my trip, I would probably then look at unpacking. But I've never been on a trip that long, like away from my home. So I've never been in the, like, you know, I've been away for like a few weeks before now, but I've always just taken enough clothing to last that length of time, right?
Yeah.
So I don't, personally, I don't get it. I go to like some hotels abroad and they've got like wardrobes and hangers and drawers. And I'm like, I'm not taking all my stuff out of my suitcase. I've just packed it. I'm not taking all my stuff out to hang it up and then, you know, peruse the wardrobe in the morning. Like I'm going to decide I'll just take it out of my suitcase and then put it all back in when I'm done, right? How about you, man? Do you unpack?
I am a serial unpacker.
Really?
More than one night, unpack everything.
Why though?
Right?
Just why?
It is just a built-in habit because I like to feel settled. I've decided that it's because of this, right? So I noticed this a few weeks ago when I went to stay. I actually went to stay somewhere for one night and I laid everything out on like a second chair thing that they had, right? I make full use of all of the cupboards, the drawers, everything. Suitcase, I mean, if it's multiple days, suitcase out, all the
it's
drawers,
so much work.
Everything's organized. Everything's like, all the t-shirts are hung up. Everything's, shoes are out, right? The suitcase is empty. Bar maybe like a shaving, like a razor or something, and I'll be chucked under the bed. Because then I've like, okay, I feel fully settled. Every morning I can go, I can like pick everything out. All my like toiletries are all like nicely laid out, all of that. Settled, a feeling of being settled. I put this down as a topic idea because I noticed a few weeks ago that I did this after like one night. And then I was chatting to one of my friends and I asked them this question. And they were like, no, they went away for a month, right? I think like 3.5 weeks, 4.5 weeks. And I asked them, I was like, did you unpack everything? Like, no, I left everything in my suitcase. And I was like, you're psychotic. How do you know? Like, you got to dig in there. You got to find something. You got to find the specific thing you want. And then it's all jumbled up. It's all over the place.
I'd be interested in the dynamics of this, like the percentage of people who are like, you know, let's say for like a 1 week trip, I'd be interested in the split, right? Because I feel like for one night unpacking is insanity. Like, but for me, I walk, like if it's a hotel room or like wherever I'm on like abroad, I will walk in, suitcase goes under the bed, and then I just like sleep. And then if I'm waking up, I wake up, pull the suitcase out, get the 2 items of clothing, the t-shirt and the shorts, whatever I'm going to wear for that day, put them on, suitcase goes back under the bed, and I'm out the door. Like, you know, obviously I'll have my toothbrush out. That'll be in the cup or whatever that they've got for a toothbrush, and I'll have the toothpaste on the side. But like, that's it. Like, toiletries go out. You know, maybe I'll take a shampoo or something, and that'll go in the shampoo thing. But like, I am never hanging my clothes up. I'm not folding them and putting them in drawers. Like, it seems like so much effort to me for zero payoff. Like, it seems like it's making life more difficult because then now I've got to check multiple places to find where my stuff is.
So, I pack my clothes in such a way that I could just pull. So they're in. So there's the stack of t-shirts, stack of like legwear, stack of underwear, stack of socks, and it's all kind of partitioned in the suitcase, right? So that's how I pack. So that when I arrive, it's just you take one pile of things out and then you just put them there, put the t-shirts there, put the trousers there, you know, etc., etc. And I'm using all them cupboards, man. I always ask as well, if I'm staying with people, I'm like, hey, do you unpack? And they're always like, no. I'm like, great. All the cupboards are for me.
I think we just have a difference of philosophy here. Like, I imagine this is true in our homes as well. Like, this morning, man, I got out of bed. I went to the laundry basket that is in front of my dryer that contains clean clothes. I picked up this t-shirt, my shorts and my socks out of the laundry basket and put them on. Like, I didn't take them out of a drawer. I didn't take them off a hanger. Like, nothing like that. These were cleaned yesterday, and I picked them up this morning out of that basket. And
I see where we're deviating here. I do see where we're deviating. Because I'll be like, as soon as the washing machine's done, stuff hung up. When it gets hung up, it doesn't then go into a laundry basket. It goes right onto my bed. And then I just fold everything up, put it away, and then it's done. Right?
Yeah.
I think that's it. It's more effort at the beginning for everything to be organized afterwards. Right?
Yeah.
And you are right. I do want to know the split here.
Yeah.
Because obviously, so many places have storage, right? For use. So clearly people, that's like a want, right, of the customer.
In my mind, I think it's because like 1 in 50 people demand this, and if it's not there, they're going to be annoyed. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely more, like, you are right, like there's, to me, the way you do it, the front loading of like taking all the laundry and putting it all away specifically to then just take it back out again when you need it, like, obviously finding what you need is easier because you just open the drawer or whatever and you've got your stuff there, whereas I've got to like spend 45 seconds rummaging through this laundry basket to find a t-shirt that I want to wear and 2 matching socks or 2 black socks, right? But like, I don't know, some part of my mind is just like, when I think about taking all of that laundry upstairs to then like fold it into specific drawers or cupboards, it just seems like so much more work that just doesn't, like, I don't know what it is. I just feel like it just doesn't need to be done, man.
Right.
I just leave it there and I move on.
This is the major difference of philosophy. I'm looking forward to the comments about this. It'll be very interesting indeed. But I know that I am on the other extreme where, like, even in short stays, I'll be like, stuff out. And I'll be like, oh, that's nice. There's something satisfying that I get over having an empty bag, right, or case, and I'll chuck it away, and then I'll feel really settled down. I think that's it. It's that feeling of being settled that I clock onto so much. But yeah, I majorly dislike living out of a suitcase. I just feel too unorganized. Yeah,
for me, it feels like home.
There you go. So you already do feel settled because that's what you do at home. Maybe there's the correlation there, right, between what people do at home if they leave stuff in laundry baskets versus folding them away, and then what they do abroad, or not abroad, but, you know, when traveling.
Yeah.
Leaving stuff in versus folding away. Because actually the person that I was talking to who was away for a while, who lived from a suitcase, I know that for a fact that they leave stuff like on drying racks, right? And then we'll like pick them off from drying racks. So
yeah,
maybe that is a correlation. Which is very interesting indeed. But I am one of those people, Isaac, who, if I go somewhere and there is no storage, I am very annoyed and feel like I want to demand it. The thing, man, I can't remember if you've spoken about this before. Hotel laundry. Have you ever used it? You say that you usually pack for the length of time you're staying. Have you ever even looked at hotel laundry prices?
I think I have, yeah. I think I've been to like 1 or 2 places where I've like, I might have been to more places that have it, but I've been to 1 or 2 places where I've seen like I've been, usually when I go away, like abroad, they'll have like a thing that's like, you know, like per item of clothing. They're like, hey, this is the price per thing, and they're like, be more expensive, like a towel or something to be cleaned or whatever, but it's not something I usually pay attention to because it's not something I usually ever take anybody up on. Yeah.
I'm usually the same. There was a period of time last year where I was away in one country, and then I was coming back to the UK for 1 day and then going away somewhere else immediately afterwards, right? So when I was in Spain, the first country, I was in a hotel and I was like, right, okay, it's probably going to be sensible to do the laundry at the hotel, right? They usually leave a bag in one of the cupboards and they have a price list and stuff. And I was like, that would be really useful because when I then go to the Czech Republic, which is the country I was going to next, I was like, everything will all be sorted. I don't need to do any laundry at home and it won't be a rush. Have you seen how expensive hotel laundry is?
I seem to remember it being pricey, yeah.
I think from what I remember, it was €3 per pair of underwear. It was like €6 or €7 per like legwear item, and then, you know, some similar amount per t-shirt, right? And I calculated that to do my set of laundry, it would have been like over €100.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm going to rush at home. I'm going to wait till I get home. Yeah. But then ever since then, I have always, every now and then, looked at hotels' price lists, and they're all in that price range, right? And I just assume here that the only people needing to do laundry at hotels are ones who are so desperate to do laundry that they'll just pay that, right?
That's what I was just about to say. It has to be
the
like
case.
a price gouging, like, we know you need this kind of deal, right? Yeah.
Yeah, right. It's like petrol stations at service stops
in the
right?
desert.
If you're paying, if you're stopping there for fuel, you need it, and therefore they're going to charge you a good 20-30% more than your local one near where you live. It must be that situation. And I was quite desperate at this point. I was like, I'm not gonna have long at all when I get home, but I was like, I'll make it work. I'll do all my laundry at home. I'm not paying €100 to. It's like as much as like my flight, man. To get to Spain, I was like, I'm not paying that much for laundry. Like, I'm out. I'll go do it at home. But yeah, that was just a very interesting observation. But I've noticed it at pretty much every hotel that I've been to. But those laundry bags are very useful because I think they're disposable laundry bags. I'm not gonna lie, man. A lot of the times I nick those laundry bags and I use them for like storing things. I like put my shoes in them, put them in my suitcase.
Fair enough, man.
Yeah, they're quite good quality as well. But another question.
Oh yeah.
On the topic of international travel now, barring like Singapore, I think, which also uses the UK plug. You've been abroad, Isaac, a few times. Travel adapters.
Yeah.
So these are for your plug, right? To plug in to the plug socket of the destination you are arriving at.
Yeah.
On average, how many travel adapters do you take on holiday?
I think that if me and my girlfriend go away, we will take 2 travel adapters and usually 2 extension cords. 2 1-plug to 4-plug extenders.
Now, this is the grand hack that I learned recently. Right? I learned this last year, where we were away and someone took an extension cord with them.
Yep.
And I was like, and they were like, yeah, this is like a really like a thing that we do. And I was like, wow, that is genius. So I went away a couple of weeks ago, right? And I was traveling with my family, and we were packing to go away, and I got berated for having this extension cord. I can show you it, actually. It's over here. It is one that I've taken. I actually take this away. I take this away domestically as well, just because it's useful for when I've got devices with me. So you can see it's got 4
plugs. Yeah.
4 plugs or 3 plugs, I think. Yeah, 3 plugs, but also 4 USB ports, right? 3 USB-A and 1 USB-C. Which so effectively 7 devices can be plugged into it. I got rinsed for this, right? They were like, "Are you moving? Are you moving?"
You need it, man. Though.
Lead with you. Here's the thing, right?
They all want
on
plugs.
Holiday. Guess who forgot their travel adapters?
Yeah,
everyone.
Yeah,
apart from me, and they managed to get one between 3 others, right?
Yeah.
Had this extension lead in the living room, right? Maxed out. 3 plugs, 4 USBs. One of those connections would be mine, right?
The thing is,
this is the thing.
These days, you need so many plugs. Like me and my girlfriend, we both have phones that need charging overnight. We both have like an Apple Watch that needs charging overnight. Like I'll usually take like my iPad that I want charging overnight, because I use it for bigger entertainment when I'm on the go. There's just like there's a lot of stuff that needs charging these days, and I think that the extension cable is the thing to take. One point of note: if you're ever going to airport security, just make sure nothing's plugged into it. Like even though it's not plugged into anything, if we've accidentally left like in a rush, we've just kind of unplugged it from the wall, thrown it in the bag. If there are plugs plugged into the extension cable, they will pull your bag over and check it. Like they'll ask about it.
Oh, no way.
They'll unplug them before and then give it back to you. Like, because I think they're under the assumption that it could be something that's plugged in for a reason or whatever.
Like powered or something like that.
Yeah, like you're trying to hide something in the brick. Or...
I always take these. I always put these in the hold luggage. I do understand the concern. Actually, I've never thought about this in cabin baggage because modern planes have plug sockets these days, can't they? So I guess you could actually plug it into the airplane's plug socket and plug multiple things in. But yeah, like this is the thing. So for me, it was phone, watch, iPad, laptop, and earphones. Right?
Yeah.
So a lot of things.
Yeah.
plugged in.
I always forget about Bluetooth headphones. Yeah.
Yeah, really useful. Really, really useful. So, top tip for people traveling: one travel adapter. Don't spend 15 quid on the ones at the airport. Right.
Yeah,
Take
don't
one
buy
travel
4 of
adapter
them.
with
Yeah.
you. Right. Yeah, and
Yeah.
take an extension lead with you. They
Yeah.
are very handy indeed.
A lot of
but
times, man,
yeah.
I don't even take hold luggage. Like when we went to Amsterdam, I just took, cabin luggage only. Like I go for like 5 nights, just everything in a bag. Don't even bother with packing it, just take it out of the bag.
Yeah.
Easy. But then you've got to take your travel adapter, right? That means you've got to put the extension thing in the bag. So
most traveling I've done has been cabin baggage only. Only when I'm going to a different continent, usually I'll take a hold luggage. The trip that I went on a couple of weeks ago, that was just a rare exception where we decided to take hold luggage with us because we were going for over a week, right? So we wanted to just stuff things in there, and we were anticipating gifts and stuff as well. But you are right. I always travel probably 90% of the time with just a smaller cabin suitcase, and it's so much more smooth, isn't it?
I was just about to say it's so much better at the airport. Not having to check the bag in, and then especially not having to wait for it to come out after the fact.
Yeah.
The fact that you can get off the airport and at the airplane and just leave. You don't have to wait like an hour. Your bags are delayed. It's going to be an extra 45 minutes. Then somehow then you got to wait, and your bag is the last one every single time to come around that carousel. It's never the first bag out.
Always.
Everyone's always stood right up against the carousel waiting for their bag to come out. You see yours go through. You got to wade through people, be like, excuse me, and try and reach and grab it.
Sorry.
It's... Yeah, no, it's
a pain in the ass.
It's real bad, man.
I've waited an hour to check bags in before to put them in the hold luggage. Like it's crazy. Like people, the queues are just ridiculous because then you always go in with your check bags, but there'll be 20 people in front of you who are trying to check in, and they've like not got their passport with them, or they've missed their flight, or this is really prevalent last year and the year before. They haven't got the COVID certification for the destination they're traveling to, and then the people had to be like, no, you can't fly, sorry. And then they spend like 40 minutes trying to sort it out, right? And then you got 3 people for an entire airline, and you got the queue like staking around the back. Cabin baggage, just go straight to security. So good. So good. And as of next year, you might have seen this, all UK airports are getting 3D scanners, so you don't have to take electronics and fluids outside of your bag.
So they have that at Amsterdam airport. So coming back from Amsterdam, they were like, keep everything inside your bag. Like they had multiple signs on the way around, like, do not take electronics out of your bag. Just put everything in the bag, leave it in the bag, put it through the scanner, right? Which is so much nicer. I hate having to get your, especially when you've got too much stuff. Like I need to get, oftentimes I need 2 of those big boxes because your bag is pretty big, and then you've got like an iPad that's bloody huge, and then you've got your phone and your keys and your watch, and you've got to take that off, and your belt will have to come off as well, and you're basically naked walking through the scanner, and it still beeps somehow.
I got told I took my laptop out, and then I got told to take my laptop out of its protective case and put it on top of the protective case in the UK. So I'm very much looking forward to that coming in. And 100ml liquid restrictions are out as well when these come in the UK.
Is there like a bigger limit, or like is it still
the limit I think is bottles can be up to 1 litre, I want to say. Yeah, and then you can take more than 1 litre as far as I think. I'm going to give it a quick Google, but it's going to become really nice. I think the amount of like airport security queues are going to plummet as a result of this. Man. Really, right? UK
UCT X-ray technology means that airports will be able to scan liquids within hand luggage, providing security staff with a detailed 3D image of the contents rather than the existing 2D images. Using the new technology and, quote, highly advanced threat detection algorithms, potentially dangerous liquids will be flagged for further checks. This means passengers will be able to travel with up to 2 litres per person of liquids and gels in their bags, and they will no longer need to place laptops and other electronic devices on separate trays.
Oh,
crazy.
Very nice. Very nice. Because that's the other only thing that hold luggage has a significant advantage over hand luggage in, is you can just put big bottles of stuff in your hold luggage. You can take in, bigger stuff.
I wonder if I could have bought more than like 100ml back from Amsterdam then. Because there's already a number of airports, including Miami International Airport, Leonardo, Da Vinci Airport in Rome, and Schiphol in Amsterdam have started making use of the tech. And the UK government has given airports until June 2024 to upgrade their screening equipment. So I do wonder if I could have bought more back in Amsterdam off that cool slim place. I actually don't know.
Yeah, maybe, because I know the customs limits are really high in the UK. Like the actual bringing of a lot of liquid in.
Yeah.
You know, you have to bring like, I think it's like 15
bring...
liters of wine or something like that. Or like something like,
it's
right?
actually madness,
It's really
man.
high.
Yeah, I think you could bring like 38 liters of beer back without having to declare it. It's something ridiculous.
Yeah, you can bring like 200 boxes of cigarettes as well. It's like, it is really high. So yeah, I can't. So obviously that's not a problem. So I imagine you probably could have bought more liquids in than what you took, at least, which is always an annoyance. And I can't ever bloody fit them into the little plastic bags, right? And they're so anal about you keeping all of your liquids in just a single clear plastic bag, and all the shapes are all wrong, and I can't seal it properly, and you've got to be able to seal it, and I have to then buy the cheaper, like not the cheaper, but the less efficient, like 50ml aftershaves instead of the 100ml ones that are much better value, because I can't fit the bloody 100ml one into the little plastic bag along with everything else, and it's just it's a massive pain in the ass.
Yeah, it's I did not know about this, but this is good news, man.
It's good. Yeah, very good, very good. So
I'll be able to take
this time next year,
I'll be able to take a full 2-liter bottle of Coke Zero onto a plane with me, man.
Oh, beautiful. There you go, and you don't have to pay 20 quid to get it on the plane.
20 quid for 2 cans on the plane.
Right. Oh, it's going to be good. It's going to be very, very good.
No, that's interesting, man. Because like it's always like a fine line trying to figure out what's allowed on planes and not, like what's allowed in. Because like I remember we were in Amsterdam and we were looking at like there's you walk around Amsterdam, there's like a couple of like cheese shops, and I'm like, can we take cheese back on the airport? On the airplane, I'm like, is that allowed? And then we're looking at it, and it's like, yeah, it depends on how firm your cheese is. Like, if it's a firm cheese or a medium firm cheese, then yeah. But like, if it's a super soft cheese, like then no. But if it's like a medium soft, then it's like, I've got to figure out the viscosity of the cheese that I'm purchasing before I can try and take it onto the airplane. Yeah,
it's nuts. I've heard stories of roll-on deodorant, which are hard, being stopped at airport security in the UK because they're like, no, this is a liquid. We're going to class this as a liquid. Sorry, you have to throw it. So the cheese firmness thing checks out, but it is crazy that there's this like the spectrum as well is never defined. It's just decided by how nice the person you've got at airport security is decided to be. Whether they'll let you through or not. I've had hair clay, like really like hard hair clay, been stopped and be like, no, you got to put this in the bag. This is like they're like, oh, it's like a gel. And I'm like, I'm thinking it's not a gel.
It's like more like it's solid.
Turn it upside down and it'd fall out like a brick, right? But no, apparently not according to airport security. But
I guess it's tricky, right? Because like, I imagine it wouldn't take much heat to melt that clay.
Yeah.
Right? So, like, I don't know what, like how...
constitutes.
Exactly, how solid something has to be for it to be allowed. Do you know what I mean? Like, I imagine if I had some ice cubes, they'd be like, no, you've got to put those in your liquid bag, right? Even though they're solid, because they can melt into a liquid. Like, I wonder what the deal is there. I don't know.
Yeah, like, is that the definition then? Is it like if past a certain... heat, like if the substance melts, or like what's the melting point of it? I don't know. Hopefully, though, in a year's time, something that we won't have to worry about, because we can just just leave it in our bag and just take it through.
It's one thing not having to worry about it leaving the UK, but it's whether or not the airport that you're coming back through has the same rules, right?
That is also true. To be fair, that is also true.
If you fly to like a small country, you fly to like Lanzarote or something, and their airport is like, no, 100 mil is the max. And then all the stuff that you've bought, you can't take it back with you because they've got the limits in. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Santorini Airport had it when I flew back as well, because we were like, is it going to be one of those airports where they actually like just let everything through? And no, it's 100 mil limit. So we're like, good job, we put everything in the hold.
By the looks of this article, there's like 4 airports that currently have it. So yeah, it's
very new.
It's very new, right? Unless you're going to like Miami, Rome, or Amsterdam, like. Those are the only places you can go. Yeah, right?
Yeah. No, that's a good point. It is a good point. It's interesting. Yeah, I guess you've got to check both ways then. Unless you're planning to take a load of liquids that you're then consuming or or gifting in your destination country. Which is very interesting. But something to look forward to.
Oh. Speaking of airports, man, the other day I had a haircut booked, right? I've had my haircut. I had it cut the other day, and I had it booked for like 11:30 on Saturday, right? And I wake up at like 8 a.m. on Saturday to 2 texts from my barber, right? One, so I booked through like an online platform, right? Like I don't text him to book it, but like he texts me if there's anything up, I guess. So I had a text at 6:30 that was like, hey, sorry man, can't get childcare. I can't do your morning appointment. I do have one slot at 1:30, but it's first come, first serve. I wasn't up at 6:30. I didn't catch the text. I then get another text at 7:30 that's like, hey, the slot's taken, but I might be able to do after 3 p.m. or I can do 8:30 a.m. tomorrow, Sunday morning. And I'm like, he's like, does that work for you? And I'm like, yeah, I can do after 3 p.m. today, but if not, I can do 8:30 tomorrow. That's fine. And he's like, all right, cool, I'll let you know. 2 p.m. rolls around, whatever. He's like, hey man, sorry, can't do after 3 today. It's gonna have to be 8:30 tomorrow. And so I'm like, all right, so now I've got to get up at like 7 a.m. on a Sunday to get dressed, get into, to the town centre where my barber is. And so I get up, get dressed, I go to the town centre. And like I normally park in the shopping centre car park and then walk out of the shopping centre to my barber, right?
Sure.
The shopping centre car park doesn't open until 10 a.m., right? So I drive up to the barrier and I'm like, oh, it doesn't open until 10. I can't, like, what's going to happen? And I'm with my girlfriend at this point. But like I wave my hand and it gives me a ticket and the barrier opens. And I'm like, all right, says it doesn't open until 10, but it's opened. I'll go in. It's like £2 all day on Sunday, so I can stay as long as I want. Whatever. So I go in and there were no cars in here. It's dead. It's empty, right? I'm thinking there's a little window with a dude sat at like one end of the car park. I'm like, this guy's going to come and tell us to leave because it's too early. But like I park up, I get out, nothing's said, right?
Okay.
It's fine.
Nice.
So I'm like, okay, this is okay. So I go, like I had to drive in, drive down. I go to the staircase. I go upstairs to like the shopping mall area. I open the door to the area where all the shops are. It's like a strip, right, of shops. All of them are closed. I'm like, that's fine. Obviously, it's it's 8. It's like 8 to 10 a.m. or something, or 8:15 a.m. on a Sunday morning. Most of these places are not going to open until 10 anyway. The shopping center doesn't officially open until 10. Fine. And so there's a dude driving around on one of those like floor buffer machines, with his headphones over, like he's just cleaning up. And we look just completely out of place walking through this empty shopping center. And we walk, the car park's on one end, so you walk all the way to the other end. Doors are locked. I cannot get out of this shopping center. And I'm like it's closed. They don't open until 10. So I'm inside. They let me drive in. But like, I think the whole point is that the car parking is maybe for like staff to get there early. But like, so I cannot leave the shopping center via any of the doors. The doors are all locked to get out. And so I'm like, okay. We even tried like the electronic one with like the disabled button. Like you press a button and it, opens. Nope, not happening.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, all right, okay. And so we're wandering around and we tried a few doors and it's like, nope, they're all out. So we had to go all the way back to the other end of the car park, all the way back down into the car park. And then we had to just like walk out the barrier where we came in, like where the cars come in.
Yeah.
And like, again, we had to walk past this dude who sat in his little office thing. I'm like, this guy is going to be like, what the heck are you doing? But he didn't, thankfully. We just kind of walked out. And then I'm there kind of like shimmying past the barrier to make sure I can, get out and not trigger some kind of alarm. But then it's like all the way around on the other end of town and I'm walking. And I made it. I was like 5-10 minutes late. But I made it in the end, man. But I've just never been in... Actually, I lied. This has happened to me kind of once before where I'd parked in the same car park, but it closed at 6 p.m. and I had like a haircut booked for 6 p.m. It was the same thing. I had a haircut. This was like a year ago or something. And I'd parked up, I'd gone to my haircut, I'd come back and I couldn't get into the shopping center, right? And I had to do the same thing. I was trying the doors to get into the car park and I couldn't get into the car park. Like, they're like, no, it's closed. And so I had to, again, walk all the way around and then walk in through where the cars come in to get to my car. And then at that point, I was worried they weren't going to let me out of the barrier. I was like, is the barrier going to open? It's the car park's closed. Thankfully, it did. It let me out. But I was, it's an awkward situation, man.
Yeah, no, that is very awkward. I
The big
I've
signs
never
that say like no
understood.
pedestrians.
Yeah, you're not gonna lie, I've done that a few times. I've walked on like, you know, ramps on like multi-story car parks. I'm like, the entrances to these things are not very well marked in the
No, not
UK
at
at
all.
least. They don't
Yeah.
tend to be. So I like walked up the barrier, just ducked under the barrier and like onto my car. I really don't understand mostly the concept of car parks with opening hours.
Right.
Like, I understand that it's partially to do with vandalism and theft and stuff like that, right? But also, there's open air car parks, right? Like, there's car parks without barriers, like all of this stuff. I mean, it's surely just the car park's loss to put timing restrictions
I don't
on
get it,
car
man.
parks, right?
Like, I go to Leeds quite often, and like every car park I've been to there is just 24 hours, right?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
you can just go in, and it's like usually you scan your card to get in, and you scan your card to get out, and they just charge you, right? Whereas, like, I feel like where I live, we still live in this prehistoric age where, you know, you have to get your coins out and try and get a ticket, and then you got to put the ticket in, and you got to select the number of hours ahead of time how many you're going to pay for, which makes no sense, right? Like, I'd much prefer to just pay when I leave for however many hours I used, as opposed to trying to guess how long I'm going to be. Like, how long do you think this meal's going to take? Is it going to take... The options are like 1 hour or 3.5 hours, right? And it's like, I can pay £1.10 for 1 hour, but then we may be quite rushed, so I can pay £4 for 3 hours.
Yeah.
But I don't really want to pay £4 for 3 hours of car parking when we're going to be like an hour and 10 minutes, you know? It's
That's it. It's
terrible. But I agree with you. I don't know why there's closing times on them.
No, it's crazy. I drove into central London a couple of days ago, which is fun. And I was done it a couple of times. It's always really fun. And I was perusing car parks to go and put the car in. And one of them, was a car park that shut at 7 p.m. And you either had to leave by 7 p.m. or they think you just stay overnight. So past 7 p.m. you can't leave. You have to leave the car overnight until 7 a.m. which
is crazy.
It then opens up again because the whole thing was powered by a guy. Like, the guy is in his little booth powering the barriers, and if he's not there, nothing. You ain't getting any barriers open, which was bizarre. But I didn't end up parking there. I actually ended up parking on a street because it was free on Sunday. That was next to the car park, so that was fantastic. But the prices at the car park that I was going to have to cough up was it was like 1 hour, £4, 2 hours, something else, 3 hours, £7, 4 hours plus £25.
Yeah.
So if you're parking for any length longer than 4 hours, you're paying the same as if you stayed for an entire day, right? When you said that, I was like, God, it reminds me of that car park. It was nasty.
City parking is insane.
Oh,
man.
It's terrible.
Any
it's terrible.
city is the thing. Like, it's one of the reasons I'm quite happy about where I live. Like, I can go and park for like, 6 hours and it'll usually cost me like £4, right? Whereas like, if I go to Leeds, I've parked there for like a day before now, and I've come back and it's been like £18 for the parking, and I'm like, it's just
nasty.
That's horrible. It's so expensive.
Bristol's very similar. I had to park in Bristol recently, and it was like £19 for the day. It's why I feel like very blessed to have a car parking space in a city centre, because I can walk everywhere I need to within here. And I have a lot of friends who, when they come to do something in Birmingham City Centre, they're like, can I park at yours? And I'm like, yeah, no worries, just take it, because it's so much
expensive and
easier, and cheaper than any of the parking options. Like, there's certain parking companies, and they'll be like, for 2 hours it's £13.90, for 3 hours it's £15.40, because people come in from afar and they spend the day here with their families, and they know that you'll pay that amount. I've been to where was it recently? Windsor Castle. So I parked in Windsor in down south, and that was like, I think it was like for 2 or 3 hours, it was like £14, and the car park was full, right? Because they know they can get away with it because tourists are coming to visit. So it's
how
nasty.
much money
It's
they
not
raking in from that, man?
Crazy. From just a bit of land with some paint markings, right? It's crazy.
It is,
and then like
insane.
one warden will patrol it every now and then and stick a load of yellow badges on all the cars that haven't paid, or ANPR if they want to feel fancy. But it is quite something. It is quite
it's
something.
madness. And that's the thing, especially even where I live. Like, there's the car parks. Outside of the car parks, there's a lot of street parking, but all the street parking is like maximum 30 minutes. Like, you know, you can pay, and it's not that expensive. It might be like 80p or something, but it's like you got 30 minutes, you know, and
Yeah,
then you got to leave.
yeah.
So you just can't park there, right, at all.
Mhm.
You got to go to one of the car parks. But no, parking is crazy, man.
I see
it
loads
makes
of people's
sense.
on.
There are
It
so
does,
many
it
cars.
does.
Like, there's a staggering number of cars and just not enough space, right? It's just supply and demand, right? But I still hate it.
I see a lot of people parking on double yellows, and then I'll see one
Yeah.
day all of those cars have tickets on them, every single one. But I do wonder if people just treat that as parking charges. If they just cannot find a car park, they just park on yellow lines and then be like, this is going to be a £30 parking space because I'll get charged, you know, £30 to park on these double yellows if I get caught.
I mean, it's also just like, depending on how wealthy you are, it is just like a price to park
Peanuts,
close, right? Yeah, right.
Yeah.
If you make a lot of money,
Central London.
Yeah, exactly. Even if it's like £100 fine for the day, it's like, you know,
whatever.
I don't have to find parking. I just park up outside where I want to park and then leave it there for the day, you know?
Exactly, yeah. I want to say in Central London that was so common that they wanted to change the rules to make it like certain amounts of a salary.
That's so tricky to do though, right? Like,
yeah, exactly. That's equally like hard to deal with. So I mean, like, if you just got wealth and you don't have a salary.
Yeah, right. Which I think is the case for a lot of people, right? I feel like after a certain amount of income, people become companies, and then their income is like whatever the personal allowance threshold is, right? It's like 12 grand a year.
Exactly.
So, I feel like, and then you've got to and then if you try and do like a wealth fine for car payment, like trying to figure out how much money someone is worth, impossible. Actually impossible to do.
No.
So yeah, no, it's but obviously you can't just skyrocket the price of the fines, because then, you know, Joe Schmo does it by accident and suddenly he's got like a £4,000 fine for parking double yellows and he's just bankrupt. Like,
yeah, exactly. So it's one of those situations. Can't be solved.
Yeah,
car parks are expensive.
Yeah. But no, I think there are wealthy people who just do that. They just like park anywhere and just pay whatever fines come. Like, they have somebody else do it for them, right? Like, just somebody take care of the fines.
Yeah.
That's like, you know, my $8,000 parking fee for this month. Just pay for it, you know? Yeah.
That's it. Exactly.
Which, yeah, I mean, like, I don't know. I guess it's like, on one hand, it's like an extra tax revenue that everybody else doesn't have to pay. But on the other hand, it makes it less of a you cannot park here, and more like you can park here if you have enough money to park here.
Yeah.
It becomes just a very, very expensive, parking spot, right?
Yeah, because that's the thing. I live on a street with double yellow lines, and on the double yellow lines will be expensive cars, right?
Yeah.
Like cars that are worth well over £100,000. It's always those ones that are just nonchalantly parked on the double yellows, right? I've seen some with like 2 yellow stickers on them because they've clearly chucked it there for like a couple days, right? And like the warden has come, seen the date of the first one and been like, they're still here. Here's another one. Basically, he doesn't care.
Yeah,
so yeah.
Is it only 30 quid for parking on a double yellow?
It's 60, I believe, but if you pay it in
like
a certain time,
days,
it's 30. Yeah, exactly. Or it's like similar, like 100, then 50. I think it depends what authority has caught you.
It says it depends on the council. It can be anything up to £130.
Yeah. So yeah, I have seen before, like, really like unfortunate cases of people like going to Burger King for like 2 hours and then getting a charge for them parking at Burger King because there was a 2-hour limit on there. And I'll be like, oh, that is the most unfortunate.
Yeah, I think I talked before about, I had the thing last year where I'd been to Starbucks 2 days in a row. Like, I had parked up both times. And the cameras thought I'd been there for 24 hours. Like, stupidly, the camera system had clocked me there at like 3 p.m. one day, and then it clocked me there at 3 p.m. the next day, and had just interpolated, like, no one had checked. They were just like, oh, he must have been there all day, like all night. Send him a fine. And I was like, hey guys, I was there for like 10 minutes both times. Like, I've not been there overnight. And then they cancelled the fine, but like, oofed. Apparently it's 70 quid where I am for a double yellow parking fee.
Okay.
Still 35 quid, I imagine, if you pay it.
35. Yeah.
That's less than I thought it was, you know?
It's like, it's not awful.
I'm not gonna lie, there were some times where I probably would have, if I'd have known it was only 70 quid, I probably would have just parked on double yellows.
It's worth like the convenience against the nightmare of looking for parking in
sometimes,
specific
man,
places.
honestly, like, I always assumed it was like gonna be like a £100 non-negotiable like fee, just like for double yellow parking, but 35 quid, maybe
not too bad. I imagine in London it probably is something like £100 non-negotiable these days. Yeah, because that's the That's the average around those areas. City of London, double yellow fine. Let's see what that comes up with. I'm on the City of London Corporation website, but they've not given me a fine price.
Yeah, I just see £70 outside London and up to £130 in the capital. I do wonder if that's still like a half price though thing. Like if it's just like 65 quid. Because if it is, then that is honestly pennies to some people, right? That's crazy.
Yeah. Well, like, yeah, exactly.
Because even if it is, like, if it's 130 in London and it's like 65 where I am, that's basically a doubling. The average salary in London is not double what it is here, right? Like it's way higher.
Way higher.
You know, I live in an area of the UK that brings that national average way down. You know, the average salary here is probably like 19k a year or something. It's like it's not high.
London is there like what 170 or something stupid. Oh dear.
Yeah, no, I did not know that, man. That's interesting.
Good to know. There you go. Who says we're not informative on the podcast?
Yeah, right. One final very quick topic I have on here is you've heard of the New York Bagel Company, right? They sell bagels in bags at supermarkets. I tried recently. They had a new flavor in the supermarket, a cookies and cream flavored bagel. Like the bagel itself was cookies and cream flavored, and I was like, I gotta try this.
That's very interesting because New York Bagel Company don't usually do sweet bagels. It's all usually savory, right? Yes. I have perused New York bagels many times. So
I've sent you a link there, man, to take a look.
How was it?
It's pretty tasty, man. So like I had it with like some Nutella. Like I toasted it, cut it in half, toasted it, and then had it with some Nutella. It's real nice. It's like it's got that artificial cookies and cream flavor to it.
Yeah, sure.
It's not so artificial to me, at least, as to be not nice. But it's got like, it's very vanilla-y. The little bits of like cookie inside of it, like little like fake Oreo pieces or whatever. It was tasty. I liked it. Would I buy it again? Probably not. Is it good? Yeah, I liked it. I'd recommend giving it a try. They're tasty.
There you go.
Tasty bagels. Yeah. Surprisingly big holes in the bagels.
Oh, really? Like, as opposed to the normal ones?
Yeah. You know what? Hold on. I'll show you one, man.
Yeah, let's have a look.
Hello.
Da-da-da-da.
I'm back. So this is the bag.
Yeah.
That comes in. It smells.
It's got one left.
Man, it smells so good.
I bet.
You could smell it in the store. I do have one left. And this one's got a smaller hole than the rest of them. But even still, the rest of them had some really big holes in them. They were like, massive holes. Like sometimes you have like these, they have like these really tiny holes in them. Again, this one's probably the smallest hole of the lot. They were just really big is all. Like this one, I don't know, it seems less bagely and more like
shrinkflation?
To the point. Maybe. Like I don't think it actually weighs less. I don't know. But to the point where like when I was cutting it, like the structural integrity wasn't there. It kind of wobbled as I was cutting through it because it was so holy in the middle.
I see. Interesting. I might try those. I'm going to get my groceries at some point in the next 24 hours. So
I'd recommend it, man. They're only like £1.50. They're not super pricey. But pretty nice. Smell, really good. Nice. Taste, not quite as good as the smell, but pretty nice, especially if you throw some Nutella or something on there, something sweet. Good stuff. Would recommend, Nick.
Oh, very good.
Would recommend giving them a try, at least, anyway. Unfortunately, though, Nick, that is all we have time for this episode of the What Have You Been Up To podcast. Thank you for listening. If you have a question, such as, what have you been up to, feel free to let us know about it over in the Discord. You can visit WHYBUT. You can visit, I never get this right. You can visit discord.whybut.co is where you can go. There'll also be a link in the description or in the show notes if you're listening on your favorite podcasting platform. We are available on all good podcasting platforms, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify. We should be available on like Podbean, everywhere else you get your podcasts. If we're not, just let us know and we'll try and fix that. But we should be available everywhere. Join those if you'd like. Go and listen to us. Nick, we got like a 4.9 star rating on Spotify, man.
Oh, we are brilliant.
I tried to rate it on Spotify. You have to have listened to like 2 episodes before you can rate the podcast.
I see. I wonder if Apple Podcasts is similar. Let me have a look.
But we got 40 reviews on Spotify, man, and we got 4.9 stars. So if you're listening on Spotify, give us a rating. Unless you're going to give us less than 5 stars, at which point please don't give us a rating.
Yeah, look at that. It's got 10 ratings on Apple Podcasts, 5 out of 5.
Nice.
Very good. I can't rate it, so I assume it's a similar get-up, right?
I think you've already rated it, right? Is that
Oh,
why?
maybe I have.
I think whenever I
Maybe-
go to Apple Podcasts, it shows me your rating.
Okay, then maybe. Maybe it's been pre-rated by me.
Yeah, so anyway, thank you for listening, guys. Feel free to rate the podcast. Feel free to join the Discord. We'll be back next week with a brand new episode, letting you know what we've been up to. Feel free to let us know what you've been up to. But until next time, thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye.